Podcast City Network. You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Welcome, everyone, to the Everett Lee Show podcast. I am the Everett Lee. Quick shout out to everyone who follows me on social media and, of course, Podcast City Network, the official host of the Everett Lee Show podcast. Tonight, I have a great show lined up for everyone viewing on Facebook Live and on Twitch, Podcast City Network's Twitch channel. I have none other than my charismatic co-host. He's joining me tonight on this podcast, none other than Chris Carnage.
Hey, fans. This is your one and only Chris Carnage, and we are here live for another episode of The Everett Lee Show. And you know what? It's going to be really exciting. We've got so many great things to cover, and I know I probably look kind of crazy right now, but it's for a good reason.
Yeah, you going to run off and rob a bank there?
Don't tell people that now.
No, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not going to say nothing, man. I ain't going to say nothing. Your secret's safe with me. And our guest right next to you right there, he is the host of the Movie Nights podcast. And he is a film director and producer, Dalton Burdette. If I said your name right, how the hell do you say your last name? I suck at names.
Is it Burdette?
It's all good, Burdette. That works.
Yeah.
Just whatever you want to call me. I'm good.
Oh man.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's always fun to be here.
No problem. But always a good time here on the Everett Lee Show, and there's a reason why Chris is wearing a mask, and that reason is because of this right here. We want to give a quick shout out to
coronavirus. Oh, sorry.
Coronavirus. You can get a mask just like the one that Chris Carnage is wearing right there by calling or texting 386-882-8704 or search for the Facebook group T&D Company. Masks are $5 each. And final score, Everett Lee Show and Chris Carnage Show will be promoting and putting out their word on if you need a mask, that's where you can get one of these masks during this time here, what everyone's going through. So be sure to call or text 386-882-8704 or search on Facebook and join the group T&D Company to get yourself a homemade custom coronavirus mask. So, gentlemen, this is going to be really interesting tonight. It's been a while since you've been on, Dalton. Since the last time, when the hell was the last time you were on the show? I'm trying to remember.
It might have been like early last year, is what I'm thinking. Maybe that was it. Maybe mid last year, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was about that time. I had you come on, and we talked about Movie Nights podcast. Talked about a lot of good things. Really good time. Really good conversation, which I really did love. And we got Chris Carnage here tonight. So this is the first time you've actually done a show with the dynamic duo of Everett Lee and Chris Carnage here. You're in for a treat, man.
This is true.
You are in for a treat. And I'm
trying to be a good boy.
Trying to be a good boy. Me too. I'm trying, but it don't work, man, because with everything that's going on with the COVID-19, I mean, you need a lot of this and a lot of other stuff too just to get by, because with everything going on, people getting laid off, and just the way everything is going, even in the entertainment industry. And one of the things I want to first ask you, how has this COVID-19 affected you as a filmmaker? How's it affected you?
Well, it's affected me in the way that there's no filmmaking right now, really anywhere. I mean, with the Movie Nights YouTube channel, we try to make content that we can just make from my place, from Ryan's place, and just try to, do things in that way. But even on a major grand scale, like big Hollywood productions have been put on hold, have been halted, just, because of how widespread this thing has been. And not only has it, affected movies coming out, because like movie theaters have shut down. And so not only has it affected movies that are already done, but it's affecting movies that are still going to come out, because the ones that are supposed to be out by next year should be filming now, and now they're not filming anymore. So no one really knows how it's going to affect things long term in terms of the movie industry. But it's let's just say it hasn't been all that pleasant.
I can imagine. I mean, just how everything has been going on, and just how pretty much everything has been handled. I mean, with the I was shocked. I did not know. I get a lot of my information from for entertainment and movies and stuff from Movie Nights podcast. I do. And when you dropped that video on movie theaters are closing AMC, and I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding me? That's crazy. It shows. Yeah,
and the thing that really puts it into perspective is like movie theaters didn't close for 9/11. They didn't close for World War II. Like they didn't close for the Great Depression. They didn't close for nothing. So the fact that the movie theaters closed was a huge deal that a lot of people kind of were letting go under their radar. And the reason I kind of made that video was just to kind of be like, nope, this is not good. Like what just happened, like this is going to affect many things. And it's still insane. And it affected me personally too, because my day job is working at a movie theater. So it was just, in every aspect of my life, it just kind of just a big curveball that, we're slowly getting better, at least hopefully. But yeah, no, it was an insanely big deal that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a lot too of professional wrestling, just because professional wrestling never stops, just like movies. Professional wrestling, even after 9/11, the very first gathering of people for any kind of an event actually was a WWE SmackDown. So at the end of the day, wrestling is the same. And now you saw where they're having to take pauses and shooting. They're currently on hiatus. WrestleMania obviously was displaced. Actually, shout out for my boy Sean Phoenix, wearing his shirt right now, indie wrestler out of Pennsylvania. Greatly affected. No one's running matches. So, it's the same thing, and everybody's really greatly affected by this in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty much affected by it, man. It's nuts, man, because I want everything to go back the way it was, man, because it was so much fun, so much entertainment. Yeah, we certainly do. And being a filmmaker, besides running and hosting a podcast, Movie Nights podcast with your friend Ryan. I always forget his last name. I always forget.
It's all good. Ryan Warner.
Mm-hmm. Being a filmmaker too. What were you working on? Any projects at the time when everything went to a halt? Everything stopped. What was there? Anything you were working on?
Yeah, I mean there's only one major thing we were working on, is that we were in pre-production on a brand new short film, and it was, but like, most of our short films are like 10 minutes, 8 minutes. This film was going to be about, if you like calculate how long the script was, it was going to be about like a 45-minute film. Like it was a huge film that we were trying to make. And, we had finished the script last year, and we were in like hardcore pre-production. Like we had locked down, we needed 4 locations. We had locked down 3 of them. And one of them was a high school. And I don't know if you ever tried to film something at a high school, but it is so meticulously difficult to try and get in to a school, especially when you try to have to explain like, okay, so nothing bad's going to happen in the scenes at the school, but I just want to let you know that bad stuff will happen later in other scenes. So do you not want me to show the school's logo? Like, what do you want me, and you have to work around all that kind of things. And then, this was January when we started planning all this, and we were actually supposed to be shooting today on that film. Yeah. So, but instead, just a few hours ago, we, through Zoom, we had a read through of the script with the cast. And so that was just trying to, keep everyone's spirits up and minds on the project for now. But it was, that was a huge, just kind of like, well, damn it, like it was the right thing to do. And, I kind of was hoping, because like when everything first started going, it was like, oh, we'll be good by like, the mid-April, like now. It's like, we'll be good by now. And then so I was like, all right, maybe we'll be fine. And then by like the second or third week of March, when the movie theater shut down, I was like, all right, yeah, no, there's no way we're going to be able to film this right now. So, indefinitely canceled it. But the thing that makes it worse is, like, some people ask, all right, so when are we going to film? And it's like, I have no idea. Like, when is the world going to start spinning again? Like as soon as everything opens up and starts continuing, then we can make those plans like 2 to 3 months out. But until it starts, there's no really way to predict when it will happen. So we're just going to try and keep pre-planning as much as we can, given the circumstances. But that was the big knock, was not being able to start production on that film.
Damn. That's crazy,
That sucks.
man. It does, man, because you have everything planned that you want to do. You have everything all set up, ready to go, and it's like you're excited to watch, or not watch, but will be behind the camera and watch your project unfold and shoot and everything, and all of a sudden it's like, that's it. You can't do nothing, man. It's like, damn. I feel for you, man.
Yeah, no, it's it happens though,
Yeah. Damn.
That's life sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It is. But since you've been quarantined, I mean, we live, all of us live in Florida here, and we're on lockdown. Okay. What have you been doing with yourself at home now? What are you working, or are you not at the time now? I mean, what have you been doing at your time in general during this?
Gotcha. No, I'm not working as of the moment. I was furloughed from the movie theater shutting down, but I've mostly just been trying to keep occupied with the Movie Nights YouTube channel, because it's a bad circumstance, but I've never had this much free time to work on videos and consistently put out content like as much as I'd wanted to. So Ryan and I, we took the podcast, and instead of making it weekly, we made it monthly, just to limit how often he was coming over because of everything. And then we just started doing little videos. Like every Tuesday he releases a James Bond video, and then every Thursday I release a classic movie review. And we've just been doing that dynamic back and forth, just trying to stay occupied. And fortunately, I'm not all the way alone. I'm quarantined with my lady friend, so that's been a lot of fun. I mean, you have to, sometimes in the beginning parts of the day, it's like, all right, I'm going to be in this side of the house, you be on this side of the house, and then at night we'll watch a movie together, because you don't want to get sick of each other. But it's been
nice.
it's been nice. We've no big fights, because it's not like you can fight and then leave. You can't go anywhere.
Nah.
This is
So
true.
you just have to wait it out. But she's excellent. It's been great. But just been trying to keep myself occupied, and surprisingly a lot of jogging. I hate exercise, but I had to get out of the house, and we live in Florida, it's nice outside, so I started taking up jogging just to kind of get my mind off of things. But it's turned into a regular habit, which I guess is nice, but it was a shock to me though, because I usually hate all forms of exercise. But that's actually been surprisingly therapeutic, so that's been nice.
Oh, nice.
Hey, you can't go wrong with that, man. You got to find something to kind of occupy your time and keep you going. I tried to pick up mountain biking. It's a lot more grueling than I thought it was. So I quickly quit mountain biking and reverted back to just weightlifting. So, just trying to do what I can as well. But, we definitely all got to find something through all this, because I know for me and my wife, it's never easy, especially with 4 kids, to try and find space or time or a break, or just a 5-minute nap, something. Send help. But no, it's still though, you still got to find something to keep you going, and that's the big thing there.
Yeah, and I can't imagine you guys with kids, because I'm sure that some of them were in school, and then so even when you were at work, you probably still had time. It's like, all right, the kids are occupied, they're safe, they're doing something else, and it's like now all of a sudden they're on you. So even if you weren't working, it's bad, because like you don't have any income for your kids. But if you are working, it's like, all right, well, now who's going to be home with the kids? So I can't imagine the situation that you guys were in. So I don't envy you, is what I'm saying. Like I can only imagine what that's like.
Yeah, my 3-year-old right now, she ended up with a stomach ache yesterday, and it's come to find out she had a allergic reaction to powdered cheese, and it don't sit well on her stomach, and it made her sick. So we cut mac and cheese out, but we forgot to mention that at the daycare, and so they shovel her mac and cheese, and so we pick her up yesterday morning. She comes home like, "Daddy, my tummy hurts. And all of a sudden, it's just like earlier today, she's in there, sitting there, and all of a sudden, she like freaks out. And all of a sudden, it was like, whoops. It's like, grab the mop.
Yeah.
Grab the mop. But like I was telling you guys before we went live, I have pretty much know Frozen 1 and 2 back and forth really well now. I go to sleep singing "Let It Go, Let It Go," just let it go out of my
Welcome to the
head.
suck.
Yeah, let it go, and it's just one of those things now, and just with kids, it's just me and Chris. We manage. I mean, we try, but I like the arrangement that you and your girlfriend have. Yeah, we do manage. I mean, there's one thing that does kind of help us out here, just a little. But during the night after a day, you're like, damn, man. But I like the arrangement you have with your girlfriend there. Just doing your own thing during the day. At night, you come together.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind asking, what have you been watching lately? What have you found to watch?
Oh, ironically, just when the quarantine first started, like I've been, it's like every relationship, but especially me, because I'm a filmmaker. It's like you're talking about a movie, and then your partner's like, "I've never seen that movie," and you're like, "What?" And then you have that little. So then I was like, "All right, give me your phone. I'm going to go from the 1970s to now, and I'm going to ask you if you've seen these movies. If you haven't, I'm going to put them on this list." And then so I pulled up the internet, and I just like movies from the 70s, and I'd go through and I'd be like, "Have you seen this?" She'd be like, "No." I'm like, "All right, add it." And we ended up making like a 7-page list of movies that she had never seen.
Wow.
So we've just been going through, and I own some of them. Some of them are, they're streaming, and we've just been going through watching just all kinds of different movies that just she hasn't seen, and anywhere from 70s till now. Like one night we did Die Hard one night, and then the next night we did Sunset Boulevard. So it's like went from the 80s to the 50s, and then we did she's seen the Evil Dead movies, but she's like, "I want to rewatch those." So last night we did Evil Dead. Tonight we did Evil Dead 2. So it's just going to keep going back and forth. So yeah, just kind of slowly going through that massive list that I made for her.
I like that, man. I like that. That is amazing. Just you're occupying yourself, and you're watching some great content.
For sure.
And some movies. That's
But I gotta ask though, with all those movies and us over at Final Score doing our sports movie madness, have you fit in any good sports movies in there?
Yeah, on the list, yes. We haven't watched them yet, but I have tons of sports movies, especially like all the baseball classics, like Field of Dreams and Bull Durham, like those movies. Yeah. She had never seen Hoosiers. She's never seen Miracle. So like, yeah, dude, I put them all on the list. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Nice. Very good, man. Very good.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that. Anything you wanna ask there, Chris? Any questions you wanna ask Dalton?
Oh man, just so much everything going on, and I'm a kind of guy that likes to get into the techie side of things. I love my production. Final Score is like probably my crown jewel. I'm so proud of. But the big thing is, what kind of new hardware were you acquiring or starting to use in your filmmaking process?
Oh, God, great question. No, a lot of the stuff I bought years ago, like just a Tascam audio recorder, a boom mic, boom pole. And then for years, I had this Canon Rebel camera that's just been way. I mean, it works.
I got a T5.
Yeah, nice. It works and it's great, but I've been in dire need of an upgrade for a long time. And like about 6 months ago, my laptop, which is it was a Mac, it was a great laptop, but I'd had it since 2013, and it was slowly just starting to go. And I was like, and when you're editing, sometimes hour and a half long podcasts on there, it just destroys it. So I was like, all right, I need a new computer. So about at the beginning of the year, I bought just a new iMac, just a new desktop computer. And man, it's been so glorious just being able to edit things quickly and have it not crash. But my favorite thing that I bought recently is a new camera. It's called the Sony A6400 camera. Yes. It is such a nice camera. One, because it shoots in 4K. So now whenever I do like smaller videos or short films, I can shoot in 4K. I don't do the podcast in 4K because that would just be all kinds of gigabyte madness that I don't want to deal with.
Huge files.
But also it's one of the few cameras, because a lot of the cameras you buy after 30 minutes, it shuts off. This one doesn't. This will go for 5 hours if you need it to. And it came with a cord that you can plug into an extension cord so it can charge while you're filming. So I can just turn that thing on and let it go. And it is so nice, especially when you try to synchronize audio later with multiple cameras. If you have one shot that's just an hour and a half long, it just ties everything up to it perfectly, and it just makes editing so much easier. So that camera has been the joy of my existence for a while.
Very nice. I'm not gonna lie though, I kind of had like a parenting PTSD moment when you said "let it go," so don't mind me. But still, no. I love those Sonys though. A lot of great stuff. I love my Canon Rebel T5, but I do have that same problem. After about 45 minutes, it shuts right off. So you know, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go hit up Dalton after the show and get some advice.
Yeah, and the thing is, it like that's not for some reason, like you'd think that a camera that doesn't stop recording would be in high demand. It's not. Like you have to like research, like, okay, what cameras don't shut off after half an hour, and then you get all these things, and it's like, but it doesn't. No one's saying this. You have to like dive through the Q&As and the comment section, and it's like, okay, someone just tell me.
Just tell me yes or no.
Yeah. Like it's so annoying, but finally. Ironically, I watch a podcast, like a movie-related podcast, and someone had asked him on his live show, like, oh, what camera do you use? And he said, oh, I use an A6400, and I use it because it doesn't stop after 30 minutes. And I immediately was like, what'd you say? What was it called? And then I immediately like put it on my Amazon wish list. So it had been on there for a while, but then, treated myself around Christmas time and pulled the trigger on it. So that was nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice. That's amazing, man. That is. Now, with the filmmaking, how did it feel to have your short film, No More Safe Haven, getting nominated for a Best Action Picture and Best Mystery Crime Picture at the Foreman Empire Production International Film Festival? And I will say this: I watched it. Yeah. Wow. Wow, on, that's the one where you're kicking ass like Jason Bourne, right? I'm trying to remember this.
That's the one.
Dude, I love how you shot the fight scenes in that, man. I'm like, Dalton's kicking someone's ass, man. I was like,
that was crazy.
When he says a movie's good, it's good. If you disagree with him, he's gonna come at you like that. He's gonna be flipping you through the window.
Oh my gosh,
I love that. But how did that feel to get it nominated? Just having something like that nominated, man.
That first of all, thanks for the kind words about that. I appreciate it. But and secondly, it was awesome because like that, whenever we do projects. Like you do the project and it's in the past and you go to the next project. And so that had been a project, like we had made a couple short films after that. So that had been a project that was kind of in my hindsight. And then all of a sudden, you get the email, like, cause like, once you make it, you just go like down the film festival list. You're like, all right, this one, just see who will take it. And, we got in and I was like, all right, great. And they're like, all right, nominations will be announced on this day. And I was like, sweet. And then when we saw the nominations, we were ecstatic about it. And I can say just recently they had to do it virtually because of the pandemic, but they did do the awards and we did end up winning Best Action Picture. So that was super awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very, very
talking about.
Very happy about that. Yeah, no, that.
Congrats.
Thank you. That was so much fun to make. And it was the first like official short film that we did, so that was so much fun to do. So it means a lot that you guys said nice things about it, so thanks for that.
Definitely, man, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you ever need a big, goofy, charismatic, aviator wearing, beard wielding, action star, just let me know. Just let me know. Chris Carnage is always open.
I already have 9 screenplays ready to go, like, so just let me.
Nice.
This man comes ready.
He does, man. He does. I mean, we're on lockdown, man. Besides watching movies,
what else is there to do?
Besides watching movies, jogging, and writing, man. Writing. I know a lot of. I have a lot of independent film filmmaker friends in the independent film industry, and yeah, they're writing, man. They're sitting down as like, I'm writing the next, I'm writing this next movie, or I'm doing this and stuff. So that's great. You got a lot of stuff on the table there, man.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's and it's weird. Like writing is different for like many different people, like different writers. Like sometimes like writing like helps people's anxiety. Sometimes it helps, whatever. So, I have a writing friend that I met at school when I was in school who he would write whenever he couldn't sleep. Like that's what he would do. And he's like, I know it sounds weird that like it makes me sound like writing puts me to sleep, but he's like, it's not it. It just like makes my brain relax after I get some ideas out. But writing for me is I'm like doing something and then I wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh, that was whatever thought I just had. I'm gonna forget that in about 10 minutes. I better jot that down real quick. And then you write something down and then you wake up and hopefully it still makes sense so that you can turn it into a screenplay. Oh, and just a quick anecdote. A good friend of mine, his name is Nick Iricchio. He's also a member of the Movie Nights. He does a lot of behind the scenes stuff for us. One time he does the same thing. Like he'll wake up and he'll write down notes. And we used to be roommates when we were in college. And one day he woke up and handed me his phone. And he's like, I have no idea why I woke up in the middle of the night and wrote this, but all it said on there was handicapped zombies. And he's like, I have no idea why it says this. And then like months later, we were sitting doing something and he goes, oh, I remember what that was. And I was like, what is it? And he goes, I had the thought, if someone's in a wheelchair and they get bit and turn into a zombie, can they walk now? Or are they still like a handicapped zombie? and he was just like, I thought about that at like 3 a.m. and wrote it down, but it took him forever to like remember what he meant by that. So I just thought that was funny.
Oh, man.
That is great.
Oh man, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Your other short film, I'm trying to read my notes.
Contrition.
Yeah, Contrition. You see, I suck. That's why I got you, Chris.
I got you covered.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? Just sit back. I got you. Now with your short film, Contrition, great short film. Ended up winning Best Director at the Creepy Tree Film Festival. What has surprised you the most of that accomplishment?
I mean, I was just surprised in general because, a lot of the, awards we've been fortunate enough to win are a lot of technical awards. Like, we won, Best Music before, Best Action, and, that was the whole thing. But, this was one of my early cracks at trying to do horror. Mm-hmm. And, it was definitely the most challenging one in terms of a director. It was the most challenging just because, I wanted to try and convey a story without like spoon feeding the audience what I was trying to say, which was it was a little difficult challenge for me. So I was very flattered by the Best Director win, and it was really surprising. And those guys, the Creepy Tree Film Festival, they were so great. They emailed after we had won. They posted on their website, and then they emailed me a certificate, and they were like, "Hey, no charge. Do you want us to mail you one?" And I was like, oh, yeah, please, that'd be awesome. So they mailed me one that just says like the Best Director thing on it. And then with it was a like coupon code. And what the coupon code does is it gives me free entry to their festival for life.
Wow.
And they were like, if you ever have it was so nice of them. I was like, if you ever have another horror film, just use this code and it'll be free of charge. And I was like, wow, that is like the nicest thing ever. And so they were an excellent, fun festival to be a part of. And I'm really proud of Contrition, and I'm really happy that the Best Director. It's nice. It's nice. So that was nice.
Oh,
that's awesome, man.
I bet. With everything you get going on, man, it's amazing how much you've been busy and with the films and stuff that you put out. I'm trying to remember that one film. Oh, damn. You sent it to me a while back ago. It was last year. It's where you and Ryan were trying to get to the doctor's office because of lizards.
Yes. No,
what was the name of that, man? Did you see that, Chris?
No, I didn't see that.
No, man, it's good. It's good. Okay. I was laughing, man, because
that film is called The Long Hard Day.
Yeah.
And I'll give Chris a quick little synopsis. Basically, Ryan's character has messed around with an erectile dysfunction pill and it goes wrong. And he calls me because he needs a ride to the hospital, but the car breaks down. So the whole film is just about us trying to get him to a hospital.
Oh, that sounds great already.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Obviously, funny times doing that. Surprisingly, out of all the films I've made, that one had the most troubled production out of any of them. Like even the action one,
Really?
like that comedy was so hard because
From a comedy.
Yeah, we're stupid because we were like, oh, because like the thing about No More Safe Haven that made it kind of easy is it mostly takes place at one place.
Yeah.
So you go in, you can shoot a bunch of scenes and kind of get it done. Because we had practiced the fight choreography beforehand, so it didn't take very long. But with Long Hard Day, that's like all over St. Cloud and like Orlando, like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And just trying to coordinate and organize that along with like. And when you're working with a really small crew, if one person can't make it, it really kind of hinders the type of shots you can pull off. And it was a nightmare to try and figure out. And we ended up we shot half of it. And then I forget what happened. Someone on the crew couldn't do anything for months. And then so when they were ready to go, I had coincidentally, in the time that they had been gone, I had coincidentally lost 20 pounds. So then it was well, we can't continue, and suddenly I weighed 20 less pounds, so we reshot it from the beginning all the way to the end again, and it was just,
wow.
Yeah, tons of stuff happened on the Long Hard. It was a long, hard production. That's what that was. It was, yeah.
The name was fitting.
Thank you. Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. But Chris, man, I'm serious, man. Just watching the interaction between Dalton and Ryan, man. I
I'm gonna check it out.
I loved it, man. It was so good just watching interaction going back and forth, and just the pretty much what Dalton explained there. I was like, man, this is great. This is great. And I wonder if someone's ever had that type of problem. And I mean, well, yeah, people's had that type of problem, but
I was about to say, that's why they advertise it.
Yeah, trying to get to, from point A to point B and all in between and stuff. I'm sure some stuff happened. That's probably happened to someone. But that's great. That is definitely great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that.
I checked out, I've been checking out content from movie nights, and I really enjoyed the last two that you've done on the '89 Batman and Batman Returns. I enjoyed those. Yeah, because I loved '89 Batman. I was just a kid when that came out, and I was just so excited about it and everything. And Batman Returns, I remember going to the theaters and seeing that, and just walking out of the theater and having this crazy feeling about what did I just see. I was like, this is crazy. Danny DeVito was just kind of terrified me there, and I was like, Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Straight looking Batman's face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The part in the movie, you probably remember this part in the movie when she comes home and says, "Hey, honey, I'm home." And everyone in the theater, man, they were laughing and stuff. And then even after when she got turned, when she had her accident and she came back to the apartment and said the same thing, everyone was still laughing over that in the theater. They thought that was hilarious and stuff. I mean, even the part you said where the guy gets shot, it's like, we're gonna take the babies and we're gonna throw them in the river. Penguin, are you boom? I love that. It reminded me of freaking Jack Nicholson in the first Batman. When he first showed up, he's like, "Call me Joker," and then he just starts, putting bullets in Jack Palance, man.
Yeah, and I gotta give credit to my girlfriend, because part of the reason why I was able to construct those reviews the way I wanted to, because the thing that I struggle with sometimes is you gotta watch the movie and kind of take your personal, how you personally feel out of it, and just all right, let's just give it review it as if it's something I've never seen before. And something that because you know, obviously I want to say like, oh, these are, you know, freaking amazing, blah blah blah, and I do, they have special places in my heart, but my girlfriend didn't enjoy them, and so it sparked a conversation, and I was just like, oh, that's interesting, like why? Because she had never seen them before, and I was like, so you know what? You're like, what about them? And she goes, well, the first Batman movies I ever saw were the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy movies.
Yeah.
And she's like, so I'm just like going back to this, and I'm just like, what? Like, it's so different. Like, what happened there? And then I thought about when I was a kid, like the first Batman thing I ever saw was the Adam West 60s Batman movie, where it's like the blam,
helicopter,
pow, get the shark repellent spray, Robin. And then so when I went from that, and then my parents had a VHS copy of the 89 Batman, and then I saw that, I was like, oh my God, like this is so like dark and crazy, and this is like whack and what? And then, you know, you get to the Christopher Nolan Batman, and it's like, oh, wow, this is like a realistic, like gritty take on the story. But if that was your first exposure to it, going back on this is going to seem very strange and cheesy and just like not realistic enough. And so she really kind of helped with my review, because I was just like, like I've never thought, like, if you had never had no concept of what this movie was, like how would it appeal to you if you were a fan of the character but had never seen something like this before? And that's where you kind of give a little bit more credit to like Tim Burton, is because like they're very much his style of movie. And something that I bring up in both of the reviews is his movies have my favorite vision of Gotham I've ever, of all the like any Batman movie. I love Tim Burton's Gotham because it looks like a silent movie, like Gothic type set, and I'm like, okay, like I'm into this. Like I like how the city is like its own character. Whereas in the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, which, let's be real, they're some of the best movies ever made. Like they're insanely good. Yeah. But Gotham in those movies was Chicago, you know, like it was just kind of just whatever. So you're gonna have to just find little things that's unique to each version of the movies. And the one of the main things I took from Tim Burton's was just his attention to detail with Gotham City itself was just really fascinating, and how he made it look and feel. And then, you know, you have obviously at the time, like I'm sure Warner Brothers gave a bunch of notes that made Tim Burton upset. I mean, I don't have like information as to what's confirmed was a studio note, but like when you watch the movie and like Michael Keaton's hanging upside down early in the morning, it's like, I have a feeling that there was an executive in an office that was like, you know, if he's Batman, why doesn't he hang upside down like a bat when he's asleep? Like, why? This doesn't make any sense. And then since that guy has all the money, they're like, all right, put a shot where he's hanging upside down. You know, like I'm sure something like that happened. And then Tim Burton's actually gone on record saying that like he was very upset about the Prince music, and how that really didn't fit with his tone at all. But where I'll give credit to Warner Brothers, genius marketing move to sell a bunch of albums and toys to like make a bunch of money on the back end with Batman. And because like if you're Warner Brothers making this kind of like the only like successful hero at the time was Superman, because you had the Superman movies. So especially when you're doing this darker take, you know, you're going to want to build in fail safes to make sure that it gets successful. And the thing that's crazy, sorry, I'm going off now, but the thing that's
fine. That's fine, man.
That's the Everett Lee Show.
Yeah. The thing that's crazy is that still happens now. Like the Joker movie that just came out, which was awesome movie, an excellent movie. Yeah. Scary. Yeah. It has my second favorite version of Gotham, because they made Gotham kind of like the 1970s New York ish, and that was very cool. But the thing is, Warner Brothers, much like with the original Batman, they were unsure of if it was going to be a success, because it's like, okay, we're taking a character that isn't Batman but's related to Batman, so like fans will understand that, but it's also going to be R-rated, so you know teenagers can't go see it by themselves. So you know, so how they mitigated their risk is they took the budget of the movie and they went to several different production companies and they were like, hey, we're going to distribute the movie, but we would like to split the production cost with all of you. So the movie's budget was like $50 million. I don't know how much of that they put in, but it wasn't all 50. Right. But what that means is when the film is successful, you have to split the profit with everyone who put money in. And that movie on a $50 million budget ended up grossing $1 billion. So now they were kind of kicking themselves in the foot because it's like, damn it, if we would have financed this whole movie, we'd be drowning in that cash. But instead, they had to go split it with everybody.
Yeah.
But you know, hindsight's 2020 on that. They had no idea if that movie was going to be financially successful or not. So to them, it was just doing the smart move. And you know, you never really know with these kind of things. And Batman Returns, part of the reason why Tim Burton never did a third Batman, and he was supposed to, like, and you can look up, there's a bunch of really interesting stuff to look up. Like, he was going to have a Scarecrow in there, and he was going to have like a drug hallucination flashback of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Like, it was going to be a nuts movie.
Yeah.
But the thing is, since they gave Tim Burton more control over Batman Returns, and that movie, let's face it, scarred some children, and it had teenagers at the time realize they had kinks they didn't know they had with Catwoman, that they didn't make like half the toy sales that the first Batman did.
Yeah.
And it didn't do nearly as good at the box office because parents, especially parents with the mindset of, you know, the early 90s, were just like, how could I take my kid to something like that? And then now you get, you know, Batman with nipples in the third and fourth one that they did. but it's insane how just attitudes can change like that, especially with the people who have the money need to like rely on, you know, the people coming to see it. So those movies were a little bit ahead of their time, because when they made the Christopher Nolan Batman movie, that was a huge risk, because that was incredibly realistic. It wasn't like gory, but the violence was more intense. And I think in Batman Begins, you don't see Batman until like almost an hour into the movie. Yeah. But luckily, attitudes had changed, and people just recognized like, this is just a great movie. And then, you know, from there you get The Dark Knight, and the rest of that trilogy, you know, is golden history. But you know, it's just, sorry, I went off there, but just a bunch of fascinating things to think about.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I got to pull a horribly Irish moment going all the way back to how your girlfriend reacted to the movies. Reminds me of that movie. I can't remember the name of it. It was Zac Efron and Seth Rogen, where they're neighbors and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about who is Batman to you. And you know, so they're like, oh, well, it's Michael Keaton, you know? Hey, I'm Batman. You know? And Zac Efron like, no, it's Christian Bale. Hey, I'm Batman. You know, like... and it's always that different approach of how you see it. So and it's always about what you're exposed to first. And with how the Batman series has progressed through the entirety of the franchise, you definitely see where the big differences were, especially when it came all the way down to having nipples on the Batsuit. So it got ridiculous at some points, but there were some parts of it that were truly amazing cinematic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's some amazing stuff with that. And like you mentioned, there's a YouTube video out there that I watched, and there's like an article on a website about excuse me, like Tim Burton. Yeah, he was ready to go do a third Batman movie, but he had this whole, like, it's an interesting read, and if you do find the video on YouTube, I suggest you, if you haven't seen it, Chris and Dalton, I suggest check it out, because just how the person puts it together and explains everything, it would have been so different from the Batman Forever that came out, because pretty much Warner Brothers wanted to sell merchandise, so that's why they went the route they did with Batman Forever. But what was the most craziest thing that you planned for a movie night podcast, and everything just started falling apart? And like, what are like some of the pros and cons that you've come across with?
I got a couple examples. I remember because when we first did the podcast, we were just audio for maybe 20 something episodes, and then we had the talks. We're like, all right, we're going to do video. And then he was like, can we do it live? And I was like, no, because one, it's really hard, and two, we say tons of horrible things, and our careers would be over before they started. So we need the ability to edit. So not right now, but one day. And then so we got the cameras, we got the mics, the mixer, we got all of it ready, and we did a test the night before, because we were going to record the next day for the first video podcast that we were doing. And everything sounded great, looked great. I was like, all right, great, we're good to go. Went to do it the next day. Everything looked horrible and wrong. And like, we didn't touch anything. We just left it. And then we went and tried to do it again. And then just, you know, the sound was everywhere. The lighting was off. And it's like, we didn't move any of the equipment. Like, what happened? And then so it was just us trying to figure out what was going on. And then turns out my mixer at the time if you have the same type of microphone plugged into it twice, it won't work without an adapter.
Yeah.
So then I had to buy one of those stupid little adapters, and then so once we got those, we were, up and running and good to go. But just that was a nightmare. And then I was just telling Chris, the most recent episode we put out, we actually recorded twice, because the first time we recorded it, one of the mics wasn't recording the entire time, and it's like, lovely. That always. The thing is, it's usually because you're so focused on one problem. Because like at one time, we did a podcast. This was when we first started doing videos. One of the camera angles for the whole time was out of focus. And then so it was like, great, that's wonderful. And then so now whenever we do a podcast setup, we pay extra attention to like make sure like that the cameras are focused. And we bought new cameras with crisp autofocus and making sure everything's good to go. And then that's when you'll have the audio problems, because we were so focused on the camera issue, and then we mess up the audio, and it's like, lovely, wonderful, we love that. and actually Ryan just did a James Bond video where halfway through the video one of his lights like blew up, like just went out.
Damn.
And he kept it in the edit. He's literally in the edit, and you hear like poof, and it gets darker, and he goes, "Oh, my light just died," and then just keeps going.
Damn. When we did the 2-year show, Dalton, I got this new mixer, so I gave it to Chris. I'm like, dude, try this thing out, and he tried it out, and he's like, man, this works great. We're gonna use it for 2-year show. I'm like, okay. I was like, what do you want me to bring? And he's like, bring your mic, bring a couple mics. So I brought my extra 2 USB mics, and I brought this one right here, this Sterling Audio one that I've had since 2014. This thing, I love this thing. So I brought all that and had the mixer. Chris is like, yeah, I did test run final night. We're gonna be great, man. Going live and everything.
Yeah.
Soon as started hooking up everything, what happened, Chris?
It completely died and did not want to work whatsoever.
No.
But luckily,
oh my God.
I am anal retentive and have a OCD factor. So of course I already had USB mics and everything ready to go. So did all that. But even I got so focused on that though. Here, this is where it gets similar to what you experienced. We got so focused on that and trying to get all the mics dealt with, got the mics perfect and everything, and forgot to redesignate things in OBS. So half of the first broadcast had no audio, and it's a live stream.
It's on there.
So yeah, it's on there. You can go watch it. Podcast City Facebook page. Please do not laugh too hard. And then obviously we found it halfway through and got it fixed and it was good for the next two. But same kind of thing. Getting focused on one problem distracts you from another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or hold on, I got one more. I got to squeeze it in here. When I first brought Craig on to do Final Score last year, when we did episode 2, and I switched out hosts, and I remember it was so hard to schedule. We work for the same company, so our schedules were always insane, and we're both trainers, so we're always dealing with new hires, all kinds of crazy stuff. So we finally get a time to sit down and record. Record it. It was like a 2.5 hour episode. Great episode, talking about all stuff with the Super Bowl. Go back to look at the playback. No audio.
Oh.
And the horrible part is that with Final Score, it's sports. So sports never stop moving. So we couldn't record until a week later, and so much had already happened. So it's like, well, there went that. Just scrap it, rewrite it, and redo it. So
yeah.
Oh man, that sucks.
Well, hell, Chris, on the I forget what episode number it was though, but when we did the American edition too, I did the first 30 minutes with the mic turned off on here, and I wasn't recording on the mixer. Remember that? And then we're live, and then David C. Russell of Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast is like, guys, can't hear nothing. We're like, what? I look back.
And what's funny. And you had the one camera coming in where I was coming in different colors. I was wearing it was race weekend, so I was wearing like a Dale Senior jacket, and all the black was like coming in straight blue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the American edition part 1 on episode 50.
That was part 1, yeah.
Yeah, part 1, yeah, because back in the day, Dalton, I don't know if you heard about this. You could take an old PS3 camera, and you can hook it straight into your computer and use it as a webcam, but you had to get a driver to it. And I found I found the driver for it and everything, and I had it saved somewhere, so I forgot I had it, and then I went back, and when I was using old version of OBS back 2016, I decided to add a third camera. So I had like, okay, I'm going to do a third camera with this thing. So I pulled out the PlayStation 3 camera, the PlayStation Eye camera. Remember that with the stuff on the PlayStation 3? So I hooked it up there, and I was trying to look for the driver. I couldn't find it. And I'm like, shit, where the hell is it? And all of a sudden I found it, and then this person's like, yeah, you could get the driver, but for $2.99. And I'm like, really? You're charging people to get the driver for this thing? So I went back and I found it. And I said to myself, I should throw this out here for free just to make this guy mad, because people were, at that time there. But yeah, I used that that PlayStation 3 one. And then when Chris came on, man, he was all different colors and stuff. It was like something from Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory. It was like Vertical Salt walked in,
man, like
blue. Red was blue was black. Yeah,
it was crazy, man, crazy.
Yeah, that was definitely crazy. But all week, like I've had this week on the Everett Lee Show, on this last Tuesday night, I had Ty Asbury from Between the Ropes Radio. Last night I had Cody Fleming on from MIW Wrestle Rage, and with you tonight, I've had 3 different guests this week with 3 different podcasts. And I pretty much have covered technical issues, the ups and downs with podcasting. And I'll tell you what, man, it makes me feel good, because I feel like it's only me, but hearing other people's stories, it's like with screw ups, and like we just witnessed a couple minutes ago, it's like, at least, it's like we all can relate to with stuff screwing up on us, though, but we find a way around it.
What's funny is I have one more thing to add. I did Chris Carnage episode 9 with a very special guest. Will be a graphic dropping probably after this episode. When we taped it, though, first thing that happened, yeah, straight went. No big deal. Just there goes the boom arm. So I have this thing like all perfectly propped right now to look nice, but this thing is screwed up. So and just because this little tightening nut just decided, I'm gonna strip out. Bye. So here we are. Just shows you the perils of podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, here. I'll throw you guys a story. But this wasn't with a podcast. It was actually with a short film where something went wrong, and it was when we were doing No More Safe Haven. There's a shot where that starts like I'm on the ground and someone's over me, then I throw him behind me, and then I get choked out, and I throw the guy over me, and then I walk into a hallway and get kicked, and that's where the shot ends. It's all like one swooping shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we shot that about 5 times, and in the building there's no AC, we're dying and we're out of shape, so it's like we're breathing heavy, and then one person's on set, their job was at the end of the night watch everything we shot while we're like getting water and just make sure like nothing's wrong. And we're like, okay, so that person was watching all the footage, and they had noticed, because in the previous scene, Anthony, the delivery man character, has a hat on, and then I hit him with the bottle and the hat comes off. Well, the person who watches the footage comes to us and goes, in every single one of this shot, he has his hat on again. So we had to, right as we were like, our time was expired at that filming location, we were like, all right, we have to do it like one more time of him without the hat on. So we had to like not mess up the choreography, quickly do that shot one more time with him without the hat on, and thankfully no one messed up and it looked great and everything was fine. But like, that was so close to being like a major continuity error, so that was something else.
Wow.
And I'm the guy that looks for those. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, but I always look for those. Like, I found it.
Yeah.
Wow. One take, man. You pulled a Daredevil.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Nice, man. That is awesome. I love that. And man, this has been fun. This has been really fun having you come back on, and I'm glad you're doing all right, and you're occupying your time, and you're just hanging in there. and watching a lot of movies, putting content out with Movie Nights podcast, which I really enjoy, and Podcasting Network loves having the Movie Night podcast on because, I mean, we got a variety of different shows on the network that anyone can find, and it's been a while because I've like messaged you here and there, and I've even told Chris, I'm like, I got to get Dalton back on, man, because I'm looking at his Facebook feed and like, wow, all this stuff, great, amazing things is happening with him, and I like to get him on just to talk about how this door opens up to this door is opening up to that, and just being a independent filmmaker is just fantastic. And thank you so much for coming on here tonight, and thank you, Chris.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, and thanks so much for having me. And the Podcast City Network itself does not get enough credit for how awesome it is, and how they give a bunch of different types of shows a platform, and how not only that, but they're constantly devoted to making sure that it's seen by as many people as possible. And it's a really loving and supportive community with everyone, and it's a really, PCN is awesome, and just happy to be a part of it, and really happy to be associated with shows like you guys. So thank you for keeping up the awesome content as well.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Definitely.
And as always, Chris Carnage, it's always great to have you come on Everett Lee Show. This is your second home or first home. I mean, you started out here with me.
Very true.
Yeah. It's great. And before we do wrap it up here, where can people find Movie Nights podcast and yourself on social media at?
Oh, well, thank you. Let's see. Movie Nights, you can find us on YouTube, just Movie Nights, 2 separate words with a K, because we think that we're funny. And also, you can get audio versions of the podcast on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, all that good stuff. And on the YouTube channel, we do the podcast every month, and we also do just the variety of different content that we had discussed on here. And we even started doing some reactions a little bit, trying to get into that game. And it's hard now because nothing is on anymore, but we'll get back to that when they start coming back out with more trailers and things. And so you can find us on YouTube there. On Twitter, we're at @nights_movie, because some guy took Movie Nights, and we haven't found him yet. And same thing for Instagram, at @nights_movie. Facebook, just Movie Nights. And for myself personally, you can find me on Twitter at Burdette Dalton, I think it is, and then on Instagram at Dalton Burdette. I think that's it. Yes.
Nice. And of course, Chris Carnage, social media. Where can people keep up with the Chris Carnage?
Oh, man, if you want to find things all Chris Carnage, you need to go on to Facebook at facebook.com/Chris Carnage Official, on Twitter at Planet Carnage, and on Instagram at The Chris Carnage. Of course, Chris Carnage is also going to be dropping some new episodes of The Chris Carnage Show. And if you did not see earlier tonight, episode 10 is already going to be in the works, and will be going live this Monday night at 9 p.m. on the Podcast City Network Facebook page. So definitely going to be an awesome time. Make sure to join me as I welcome Jeremy Mansfield. Going to have a great conversation. Going to be a lot more info out about that tomorrow. And of course, all things Final Score will be live this Sunday, 9 p.m. on the Final Score Facebook page. You can find all things Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PCN Final Score. And this one's going to be a big one. And thank you to all of our fans. I just checked the numbers. Our last episode, which came out just this past Sunday, has already surpassed 5,800 views. So we thank all of our fans for checking us out, and
so awesome.
love the devotion and the dedication. Honestly, I feel really taken aback by it. So we thank you guys so much.
Yes, that's amazing. Love it. I love everything you guys are doing with your podcast here on Podcasting Network. And speaking of Podcasting Network, your top source of independent podcast, and follow them over on podcasting.net. You can follow shows such as The Everett Lee Show, Final Score, Chris Carnage Show, Movie Nights Podcast, Imaginarium, Super Radio Brothers, and Best Friend Podcast Show, all on podcasting.net. And then you can follow them right there on Facebook, Podcasting Network, and send them a tweet over on Twitter at PodcastCityNet. Subscribe and follow their YouTube channel, Podcasting Network, and subscribe and follow them on Twitch, Podcasting Network. You want more Everett Lee? Well, follow me on Facebook, Everett Lee Show, and send me a tweet over on Twitter at the @TheEverettLeeShow, Instagram, Everett Lee Show, and Audio portion is this podcast, previous release podcast. Head over to YouTube, Everett Lee Show, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Podbean, and iHeartRadio. And that is it for the podcast tonight. Everett Lee is out of here, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of The Everett Lee Show.